Hey, welcome back to Views on Brews. We're getting ready for bottling day now in episode 10. So here's some of the things that you're gonna need to get yourself together. You can go ahead and pause the video and have a look through these things, but they'll just act as like a checklist for you to get sorted out. And I always like to do this the night before so that everything is ready. There's no surprises on bottling day. And just in case I've forgotten anything, if I get it all out, get it all ready, it makes it a lot easier. Hey, welcome back to Views on Brews. I am Brendan and this is going to be part 10. It's all about bottling day here. I have everything set up from the night before, but just to quickly run through what I've got here. This is going to be my batch priming bucket. I'm going to give this a proper clean in a minute and sanitize it just to make sure it's ready. I've got a cleaned and sanitized bottling tree here for my bottles. My bottled stout, last night I put them all through the dishwasher at 75 degrees for 2.5 hours. A lot of people say don't put them in the dishwasher. I've never had a problem with it, but when I take them out of the dishwasher, I rinse them with warm water. And then after that, they are going to go into my bucket, which is halfway full of sanitized solution. So they're getting a rinse and they're also getting a Star San sanitizer treatment as well. Then I'm going to put them on the bottling tree, have them all nice and ready. You can use a bottle washer as another way of doing it. I have my beer here, but I'll talk to you about that in just a second. You'll notice I've got a whole load of towels out, and the reason I do this is just because it's so much easier to clean up at the end of the bottling session. There will be spillages when you do your bottling, 100%. Now, this beer. So my fridge is a fridge that I got free on Facebook. That's another top tip, I guess. Like if you're looking for a fermentation fridge, why would you buy one? People are desperate to get rid of them for free. They only sell them if they're brand new and they want a newer one kind of thing, or they're only a year or two old. My fridge was like 10 years old and I just posted up on Facebook in your local marketplace or your local buy and sell or whatever. Is anyone looking to get rid of an old fridge for free? Bang. As long as the damn thing works and you can get it to your house, A1. Why would you go and buy a fridge if you can get one for free? You just need to get it to your house. So the fermentation fridge I've got probably doesn't run as well as a brand new or a newer fridge. And to get that temperature down for my cold crash, which is what I've done, it's been quite difficult. It's taken me 48 hours to get it down from 19 degrees, which is what I started my dry hop at, all the way down to 2.7 degrees this morning. Now, last night is when I wanted to put this bucket here, but I decided to give it the whole night to crash out as much as I can at those lower temperatures. You really want to see it down at about 3 degrees Celsius for a full 24 hours to know that you've crashed out any excess protein, hot matter and all that kind of stuff. Now, so this was moved literally 10 minutes before turning on the video. So I'm now going to do everything else around here, sanitize my bottles and get my my batch priming calculator out and work out how much sugar I'm going to put in for this particular style, make my sugar, clean my bucket, set up the bottles, and by that time hopefully anything that I've agitated by lifting it from the 6 or 7 meters away I am from the fridge will have had chance to settle back down. It is US-05, so it does compact nicely at the bottom. And as you remember, I had strained out all of the trub, so there won't be any of that kicked up. And I'm using a micron bag for my hot pellets, so it should be very, very minimal, if any, kind of yeast kick up in there. Well, we will leave it as long as we can, but that's just one little detail to have in mind. If you're cold crashing a beer, the purpose for cold crashing is to drop out all of that particulate matter. If you then go and open up your fermentation fridge and lift out the bucket and put it in the place where you want it, it needs to sit there for some time, like half a night or a night, the night before. So ideally I wanted this here last night, but I've had to put it here this morning. It's just me and the cat. Everyone else has gone off to do their stuff. Let's get bottling. I'm using Brewer's Friend. It's free on Google to use for batch priming to work out how much sugar to carbonate my beer in the bottle. 18 litres. I'm going to do 2.6 volumes of CO2, which you can check at the bottom of the screen per style. And that is going to give me a decent amount of carbonation on top. The temperature of the beer is what it was fermented at, which is 17 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this is a little bit awkward because I don't normally video myself doing this, but basically I've got my bottle bucket here, still using the star sand that I did with the actual brew. I don't see any problem with it. Just agitate the bucket, got all the star sand back into solution, and it looks absolutely perfect. I've still got my spray bottle. I've cleaned off my my bottle tree here. And I'm just gonna star sand it because who knows what bacteria are on the ends of these. Yeah, I've got my batch priming solution calculated and chilling down in the batch priming bucket. Having a bottling tree just takes away so much of the fussing around. Okay, so we're going to transfer the beer over to the batch priming bucket. One of the problems that we're going to encounter is oxidation. It's unavoidable unless you have closed pressurized transfer into a keg, which is probably the best way to do it. Same way you would do it for a brewery, but homebrewers, unless you've got all that equipment, we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to suffer a bit of oxidation. Hopefully it's not too much. It's a gravity-fed system, so you have your bucket below and this one up high. This is as high as I'd want the bucket. I'd prefer it just to be a bit lower because it will bring the beer out a good bit faster. Put a bit of cling film over here, probably not going to do absolutely anything. And I have my hydrometer sampling tube here. So I'm going to get the beer open now and get the beer across to the batch priming bucket as soon as I possibly can. Let's do it. That's my sample. It smells fantastic. This has been dipped and washed in sanitizer. It is ready to go. And we are away. I'm just popping the tube right to the very base of the beer. So there is no disturbance in the beer, there is no bubbles or foam being caused, and the absolute least amount of oxygenating or aerating of the wort that I can do in this current system. Here's a quick look inside the fermenter. We left the dry hops in there because we timed it perfectly to get the dry hops in the last 4 days. That's just the way I've done it. Now, some say that you can add a little bit of oxidation by dry hopping that late on in fermentation, and we're just going to see what we see at the end of it. Okay, so that took me about 4.5 minutes, something like that. As you can see, I just propped it up very, very gently towards the end with a cushion under the back, just not disturbing the yeast. There's no trub in there at all. I've left about just under a litre, about a pint or a pint and a half, whatever. I'm just not really fussed about that, so I'm going to get this bucket up onto here now and start putting it into the bottles. I've put the bottles down on the floor as well. Okay, so I've got my bottling wand and my reducer here because the size of this tube versus the tube that is currently sat in my beer, which I'm about to pull out now, is slightly different. Just going to very gently give that a stir in case any of that solution didn't mix in well. I'm pretty sure it did though. There's no need to be stirring it at this stage, so that's a little bit bold, but we'll go for it now. Now, get the beer pumped in and push down the bottling one so that we can get the beer in. But the first bottle, I'm not going to worry about it because there is going to be oxygen coming through. Okay, so this is my first bottle. I'm not going to worry too much about this bottle. I'll use it as a sample about a week in. I've got my Star San with my bottle caps in it. As soon as the bottling one comes out, I put it in and move it to one side. I move on to the next one. Very, very simple. Now, personally, I like using flip-top bottles, but if you're going to give these beers out to people, or if you're not expecting the bottle back, try and use caps. I started off with a twin lever capper, and I found that capper is terrible for breaking bottles, and kind of feels a little bit dangerous to use it. So in a minute, I'm going to show you the capper that I bought, which was quite expensive. It's an Italian bottle capper, and it does the job really, really easily. And very quickly, in about the next 5 minutes, I'll have all of these done. Again, gone a little bit over there. That's the beauty of having the bottle cap, because the flip top, because you can just close the thing straight away, straight after the foam. But you do want to get your caps on as fast as possible, because any way that we can reduce the amount of time that the beer is in contact with oxygen is going to be better for the beer. Okay, so we've got the flip top bottles in the box already. I've just set the arm on this back of this here to exactly where I want it. You can just change it up and down. Basically, pop in your bottles, and it's really, really easy. There's no hardship at all, and every single bottle is done perfectly. There's a magnet inside there that grabs the bottle cap, and the lever is really easy to pull down because there's a long lever on it. Actually, this Italian design bottle capper is so good that you can literally do it with one finger. One finger, that's all you need because of the way the design is made. That's about as good as you'll get. Okay, so that was a really successful and quick, simple bottling day. Everything went as planned, and we did it with the minimal amount of oxidation or opportunities, because everything was set up so there was no hold-ups. The beer wasn't waiting around with the lid off. We've got our sample. We take a sample now because we just want to know what it's like with that dry hop, what it's done for it before we add it into the batch priming solution, because it's going to go through a re-fermentation. I've just put the bottles in boxes in an ambient temperature room that isn't going to change in my house. So not in a hot room in the daytime, cold room in the night, somewhere that's about 15, 16, 17 degrees Celsius. I'm going to keep it there for 2 weeks. I'm going to check a bottle at 1 week, check a bottle at 10 days, check a bottle at 14 days. We should be good to go. In 3 to 6 weeks, it'll be at its peak, but we'll see what we've got now. I've tried a little bit of it already. I'm just going to give a bit of a sensory go over it. So I'm hoping to get some Simcoe going on, a bit of pungency, a bit of brightness from Mosaic. But don't forget, my water chemistry needs a lot of readjustment. My sulfate and chloride levels were really, really low. So could have done a lot better there, but we will correct that for the next recipe. Definitely getting some hop character on the nose. notwithstanding the fact that there's no carbonation in there, so when carbonation pops up and you release it by spinning it, you're going to get a lot more up the nose. So don't be surprised if you go ahead and do a double dry hop of your own beer because you think the first dry hop hasn't done anything, and then you go ahead and carbonate it in the bottles or in your keg, and all of a sudden you've got far too much flavor going on. Just be aware of that. The initial impression I've got is we've got quite a lot of bitterness going on. I probably want to reduce that for the next time. I want to increase the sulfate to chloride ratio and get the levels of both of them up higher. I am getting the Simcoe come through, and I'm getting a bit of berry come in there as well, which is really nice. I'm getting the malty character more than the hops. So it's a perception of roastiness, but not roasty. So we're going to see more about that when it's carbonated, but I think that'll do for now. So apparently we're going to be having a part 11, which will be me opening the beer and comparing it style-wise to a beer that's on the market from a brewery that's local to me. So that's up next. Let me know down below if you've had any issues with oxidation in your homebrew setup. I'd be really interested to find out what your opinions on it are and whether you're pumping in CO2 or doing something different. Cheers, Slancher, and it's on to the next one. Give us an old like as well. Cheers, bye-bye.